This is the best moments of the BBQ Central Show in 10 minutes or less. Ever wish you could re-listen to your favorite interview or segment? Do you enjoy hearing older shows for the first time in years? Then the best moments of the BBQ Central Show in 10 minutes or less is just what you need. Thanks for listening and enjoy the show.
Hello and welcome to this edition of the best moments of the BBQ Central Show in 10 minutes or less. Today's show is coming from November the 10th, back in 2015. It is a doubleheader today. Noah Glanville of Pit Barrel Cooker, that is the Pit Barrel Cooker fame. He and Greg are going to chop it up on the pit barrel. Let's get to it. If you got one, you love it. Get to know the man behind it. Here we go. Here is Greg and Noah from November the 10th, 2015.
For the last handful of weeks, I have been pounding the pit builder sector very hard. My next guest will be added to the archive this evening. And his pit, one of the most popular UDS models out there on the market today. Let's go ahead to the hotline and welcome back the creator of the Pit Barrel Cooker. Noah Glanville joins us here on the show. Noah, how are you, buddy?
I'm doing well. How about yourself, Greg?
Absolutely fabulous, Noah. Appreciate you making time for the show tonight, and kind of a lot to get to, so let's go ahead and jump right in head first. I guess before we get into the Pit Barrel Cooker itself and, where you started, where we're at present day, roughly 5 or so years later, a little background about you, personally and kind of how you evolved into the business of barbecue.
Sure. Well, yeah, thanks. Absolutely. Thanks for having me back on the show. It's been I think, about four years, I'd say, roughly since I've been on. So I've been definitely staying tuned to what you got going on. And my background, like after graduating high school, went to college in the Bay Area in California for a year, joined the Navy, enlisted as a Navy corpsman, and immediately got attached to the Marine Corps. And it was one of the most amazing and humbling experiences of my life, for sure. Got deployed over to Iraq. And that was definitely an interesting experience, to say the least. I'm very thankful to be here and be able to come back and start a company that is successful and really live the American dream and provide jobs and manufacture something that's made in the U.S. is just that much sweeter. So we've been going at it, like I said, about 5 years. It's definitely not a hobby for us. We go after it like no other. We work extremely hard. We've got an awesome team, and we've grown a ton. Our product has grown. Customer service is very important to us. We take that to the next level. From growing from powder coating to welding the horseshoes on, to how we bend everything, to now we're finally porcelain coating, which is a huge step. It's been, it's absolutely been an amazing journey, but extremely rewarding, and the growth and feedback from the customers give us just a ton of energy.
Noah Glanville joining me here on the show from Pit Barrel Cookers. The website, by the way, while we're talking, pitbarrelcooker.com, if you want to check it out. Noah, did you find that the Ugly Drum Smoker segment was kind of gaining popularity, and it's something that you're like, hey, it doesn't have to be kind of, I don't want to call anybody's cooker an eyesore, but some of those things are a little less attractive than some of the other things out there on the market. So did you see like a niche or something that was lacking within that segment that you could position the Pit Barrel Cooker in properly for success?
Absolutely. Yeah, you bet. We absolutely saw a huge opportunity. It's something that, and in fact, I couldn't think of anything else that as a parallel to it, that so many people do in little hidden pockets and are that passionate about drum style cooking and make them in their garage. And I thought, geez, you can't find many things that have so many YouTube views on a product that no one has really pushed hard to manufacture and offer to the mass market. And so at the time when we did it, nobody was doing it. We decided to go all in on all the intellectual property, and we went down all that road, and it's interesting. I had listened to the show, previous show last week, and Brad Barrett. I've never actually spoke with a gentleman, but I'll tell you, I was so impressed in listening to him talk. I think it was probably, in my opinion, one of the best shows and guests you've had on. And the guy just seems so humble. I think he said he was around 60 years old, but you can truly tell that guy has learned so many lessons and experiences, and they've all been self-taught. It probably cost the guy a lot of money, but he said one of the things that as far as patents being, just expensive artwork on the wall, and that is the case in many respects. But we kind of went all in, and have just really hit it hard, with the development and the product, and just seeing this window of opportunity that we could dress it up, make it look good, and then it was a 55-gallon drum really the best environment, and through our R&D we realized that that other sizes yield outstanding results, so do 55s, but to have a business and to be able to ship it and not a fuel source and those things, we feel we hit a home run with this. We're also going to be coming out with another model towards the beginning of next year. That's going to be a 16-gallon kind of a tailgater Pit Barrel Junior type model. The name hasn't been decided exactly, but that's going to be really cool. Great for tailgating and camping. And it's going to be porcelain coated. Everything going forward is porcelain coated. And that's a game changer to drums, because so many people find drums, used, who knows what's in them. There's a lot of things about drums. They're not made to be barbecues. They're made to be airtight, watertight, with a locking ring and seal. So our drums are all custom ordered to spec. There's nothing in it. There's no glue seal at the bottom. And so it's very specific to our product. They're low carb steel so that we can porcelain coat them, and we don't have to worry about paint flaking off after a year or so. It definitely is where the drum world needs to be, and we're really proud of it.
No, are you surprised that, if you look at some of the other grill or cooker segments, you have, for forever and ever, it was Traeger and only Traeger for the pellet grills, and then the patent wore off on the auger system, and all of a sudden you see, 10 or 15 different manufacturers for pellet cookers right now, and a lot of them are really good, and then there's some middle of the road, and there's a couple lower end. You look at the drum segment at this point, you have the ones that we already mentioned, kind of like the eyesores of the world, the ones you make by yourself in your garage. And then you have, kind of a few sexier models. You have last week I also had the guys on from Gateway Drum Smoker, a little bit different setup than what you have in operation and so forth. But when you look at the aesthetics of yours and of a Gateway, certainly head and shoulders above some of the other things that you see out there in regards to the drum category. Do you think that there's going to be more competition in the drum segment as the years wear on, or do you think that you and Gateway might have a stronghold here on this particular segment for a while?
To put in your request for a future show, please contact John Solberg via email at johnjon@thebbqcentralshow.com.
That is right. That is how you get a hold of me, John Jon, at thebbqcentralshow.com. You know what happens right now? I ask you, are you following the Big Barbecue Central Show on social media? Much appreciated. Very easy to do. It is at BBQ Central Show on Instagram and Twitter, /BBQ Central Show over on the Facebook. Do it. Do it now. All right, let's get back into Greg and Noah from November the 10th, 2015.
Do you think that there's going to be more competition in the drum segment as the years wear on, or do you think that you and Gateway might have a stronghold here on this particular segment for a while?
That's a tough one to answer. What I will say, and hopefully this answers a question in a roundabout way, our attitude is we welcome all the competition. There's plenty of room in the industry. There's so much room in the industry. We're truly a speck in the sand in the grand scheme of things. We are growing very fast. We're proud of that. But there's so much room in the industry for everybody. And if someone has an idea, a concept, and it brings people together and they're having fun with it, I mean, America needs that more than anything. And that's something that, of all the different things we're stuck on social media and phones and you name it. And so if we can hang on to one thing, I think it's hanging out at barbecue competitions around the grill with family, friends. So, we focus on looking forward, working really hard, providing great customer service and an awesome product. And, do I think Gateway Drums, I mean, their products, they're a work of art. They can do some really fancy, nice stuff. And I think we're just two totally different, niche markets. I think they definitely fill a niche with the competition end, people that want to, have a customized, drum style cooker. Ours is something that, and at their price point, you're going to pay for it, and you're going to get something that is custom and looks really nice. Our price point, we want to appeal to the masses. All of our videos are very, very simple. We want, whether you're a pitmaster or, you have never cooked with charcoal a day in your life, we want you to be able to take the pit roll right out of the box, regardless of experience, and have some of the best food you've ever cooked, much less, or some of the best food you've ever tasted, much less cooked for yourself. And people get that with a pit barrel, and at a price point of $299, it's a real sweet spot. That's kind of been an investment that we've made into our product to make it affordable, and something that will last a long time. So, I think it's just it's a little bit different approach, but as long as it's neat to see people manufacturing something in the U.S. and able to make a living at it. And if you can provide something that people want and get enjoyment out of it, and that pays the bills, it doesn't get much better than that.
Noah Glanville joining me here on the show from Pit Barrel Cookers. Noah, let me pick your brain for a second. You look back over the genesis and the changes that Pit Barrel Cooker has seen from when it first hit the market until where you're at now. When you're getting feedback from your customers and people that you're testing and just from your own research and development, when do you decide that, okay, here's a change that needs to be made, and here's one that maybe we should hold off on a little bit longer and do a little bit more testing on? For example, your powder coating originally, now you're going to, the enamel coating, big deal. I mean, that's a big change. So, when do you decide to do those kind of changes?
Well, it's a great question. So when we first started out, the first thing we did was we looked at, I started out with a spray can, quickly moved to building a spray booth, then found out that wasn't, that was for the birds and needed to look at something more sustainable. And we looked at powder coating, and powder coating is, there's so much there's so much to getting into powder coating, but that is not a sustainable option. And so we found that out, the hard way. And unfortunately, our customers are so passionate and love the product that we have people that still have the old powder coated ones, and they love them. But we first looked at what a company like Weber's doing, and we said, okay, who's been doing this the longest? And what do they do? And they do porcelain enamel. Well, it's extremely, you have to do a lot of volume and keep those furnaces going in order to even make it possible to be able to afford to do it and have a business. So we were told that we would have to do, twice the volume that we were doing, as of, a couple of years ago. And so we said, okay, there's just no way we can make the switch to porcelain. We finally grew, was able to make the switch. We were told to be, twice the price. It actually turned out to be 3 times the price. And that's doing, roughly 400 units at a time. And so, we're able to do it. The investment we've made is how much volume we're doing and being able to then forward that on to the consumer. And so that's how we're able to obviously be a small company, but offer this total package, which I think you've seen at a price of $2.99, which is we're proud of that. That has not been easy to get there. And the value and what you get is really impressive.
Noah Glanville joining me here from Pit Barrel Cookers. PitBarrelCooker.com is the website. Noah, your cooker is kind of, as you said, dialed. Well, you didn't say it, but, I guess one of the things that it's known for is kind of dialed in. Once you get it fired up, once you have the meat in, you kind of close everything up. It kind of dials itself in. It's kind of one of those set it and forget it type of a cookers, but you're not using a Guru, which is a sponsor of my show, or some other. This thing just kind of does it on its own. And I was talking with the very esteemed Meathead Goldwyn from AmazingRibs.com, who typically is a guy that provides answers. But this man is stumped beyond belief that when you hang a brisket or when you hang racks of ribs, how the stuff that is closest to the fire is not burning and raging and becoming charcoal flick bits by the time it's all said and done. What is the secret?
Well, and first off, just to give Meathead credit, I always like to give credit where credit's due, and I, just like I referred to Brad Barrett, that you can tell when people are locked on, squared away, and just really strive to be good at what they do, and Meathead is another one of those. They work so hard to provide such great information. And they did one of the most incredible reviews on our product that really nail it down. I mean, besides just saying, yeah, it's good, and it works really well, they dug in a little bit more. They talked about, the size of the drum and kind of the convection and a lot of things. But the best way I can describe why this cooker works as well as it does and why the meat doesn't burn at the bottom is this. If you took the lid off, only so much air is allowed in as what's allowed out. So that bottom vent cap can be, very wide. There can be several holes in the bottom. But if there's no outlet, just like any pitmaster knows, you've got an inlet and an outlet, and both those things have to be in tune to get things dialed in just right. But your outlet, if you let a lot more oxygen or air flow, you're going to allow more air to come in underneath that coal basket and create that heat. And so if you took the lid off and you had meat hanging, of course, it's going to burn. You're going to get a flare up and it's going to get really hot. The trick is when you are able to create an environment to where you've got just the right amount of fuel source in a certain volume, and the meat can hang directly down over the coals, and you have those drippings, which is where the magic comes in. The ability for those drippings to drip directly onto the coals, causing that smoke fog to come back up into the meat, is where the secret is. And when people talk about putting a water pan, and does it need a water pan? It's like absolutely not. That's the last thing it needs. It needs to be able to drip down onto the coals to cause that moisture. And that's really the magic behind it. So when you put that lid on, and as you refer to as everything's dialed in, it quickly levels out the temperature so that there's no flare up. It's an even, consistent heat in the drum. So even if something's sitting down right on the coals, if there's no fire and it's just barely allowed to pretty much breathe and maintain, the heat's gonna come up off the top. It's going to fill that environment up with a consistent heat surrounding the meat to where the meat is not sitting on a grill on an inconsistent surface. And what I'll also tell people is, imagine you can take something off the grill, but if you touch the grill, you're going to burn your finger. And it's the same thing with cooking. So does that piece of meat on the grill need that grill grate that's inconsistent of the environment, or does it need the environment and the heat that the environment's putting off? And is that what you want to cook the piece of meat with? And that's why that meat hanging method works so well. Hopefully what I just said makes some sense, but it's a matter of having the lid on and the environment set just right to where you don't have this big flare up and it it cooks very consistent.
Yeah, I think you've described it to a T, and I appreciate you taking the time to do that and kind of dispelling the wonderment that goes on and, the myths surrounding Pit Barrel Cooker.
And there you have this week's best moments of the Barbecue Central show in 10 minutes or less with Mr. Noah Glanville. If you'd like to hear this complete episode, head over to the bbqcentralshow.com. There will be a link in the show notes that will get you right there. I appreciate you checking it out. While you're over at the bbqcentralshow.com, make sure you subscribe to the Barbecue Central Show via podcast. You will never miss an episode of this show or the Really Big Barbecue Show again. Until next time, on the best moments of the Barbecue Central show in 10 minutes or less, I am your host, John Solberg. I always look forward to talking to you again soon.